Hello, vinyl community. Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records. And Dillon from Noble Records has started a summer vinyl tag. Usually we do our vinyl tags at the first of the year, and there are several variations. So it's nice to do another because vinyl tags are always fun. List of 20 questions, opportunity to use for you to show off some of your records and talk about stuff that interests you that hopefully will interest those of you watching. So here we go. Without any further ado, my 20 questions to be answered. Summer in the Name. Phil Rosenthal, Indian Summer. This is a really good Flying Fish record. Flying Fish label. Phil Rosenthal, excellent singer, guitarist, and sometimes member of a great bluegrass band, the Seldom Seen. Number two, heavy pull, means something you're really enjoying, really listening to a lot and think others might enjoy a whole lot. I wish I could say 4 years ago, I discovered this artist and I've been with her ever since. And hey, I was one of the early champions. Can't say that. Discovered her earlier this year and just fell in love with this artist. And that is Sierra Farrell. And the albums are Long Time Coming on Rounder and Trail of Flowers on Rounder. And this, I believe, Trail of Flowers is the one that came out earlier this year, and this one came out in 70 or 2021. Excellent artist, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, great personality. I know, that's, we're looking for the music first, but it's nice to see someone express themselves in other ways as well sometimes as an artist. And she certainly does. A great origin story for her, and just nice to see what she's doing. A mixture of, I guess it's true Americana music at its best would be what I would say. A mixture of elements of all types of music. She busked for a long time in her younger days, all over the country, rode the rails, that sort of thing. And I hear a lot of 20s jazz, some gypsy swing, bluegrass, old time music, traditional country music, all kinds of things are in her music. Okay. So number three is a whack-a-mole. Now, if you're not familiar with that, whack-a-mole is a record pool, a random record pool. And Mazzy started calling it whack-a-mole, started doing them and calling them whack-a-moles. And a lot of people call it by that. So you just basically reach down here and you pull a record. He usually pulls 5 records. And then you say, oh, this is so-and-so, and tell a little bit about it. So I don't know what I'm getting here. Okay, interesting. This is Sarah Shook and the Devil 7. It's a reissue, limited edition on Bloodshot Records from 2020. Her current band is called Sarah Shook and the Disarmers. And before she had the Disarmers, she had the Devil, Sarah Shook and the Devil. And it was reissued. She signed to Bloodshot, and it was reissued on Bloodshot. So I've got the reissue on Bloodshot out of Chicago. What to say about Sarah Shook? Alternate country, maybe. Punk country punk, something like that. It would be how you would describe her. Homeschool kid from, I think, upstate New York originally. It moved around a lot, and eventually in her late teens ended up in the metropolitan Raleigh area of North Carolina. Ended up in Garner, which is like the working class suburb of Raleigh. And country punk is probably the best description for Sarah Shook, and now it's the Disarmers. Then it was the Devil. Okay, and so that's Whack-A-Mole. Animal cover, a little jazz, a little acoustic guitar jazz from Charlie Bird. You can usually get Charlie Bird records for next to nothing. You see them in the thrift stores, for $1.50. This guy was an excellent, excellent jazz guitarist. So don't be fooled by the fact he made a ton of records. Don't be fooled by the fact that they're dirt cheap. They're in fact I could use those records example of dirt cheap records that you could pick up that far exceed the price tag and quality of music. Okay, number 5, an LP with a great story. All right, how about this one? Super Grit Cowboy Band. I could also do this as local band if I wanted to. Super Grit Cowboy was a band started about 1974, I believe, 73 or 74. By the time I was when I was in high school, by the time I was able to get to a club to see them by 77, late 76, 77, they were going strong, and in 77 they released this album. This is the band that we followed, when we were in our late teens and early 20s, and you were going out on a Saturday night, living in a small town. We drove to Raleigh, 35 miles or so, to see Super Grit Cowboy Band. And when we went off to college, if we went off to a college in the state, like if we went to Greenville, that's right there at their home territory. They're from Hood Swamp, North Carolina, not too far from Greenville. And we'd see them at the clubs in Greenville. If you were going to school in Boone, at Appalachian State, they're going to be playing at P.B. Scott's every so often. So when you came home from college and you and your buddies were getting together, hey, Super Grit's playing so-and-so, and there we were. So the leader of the band, all-time leader of the band, is Clyde Maddox, and he's still around today, and sometimes Super Grit still plays. So they started in 74. He's in his late 80s now, and he's still playing all the time. I saw him a couple of years ago at a barbecue seafood buffet in Goldsboro, and didn't speak to him because I didn't want to bother him. Looked like he was there maybe with his daughter and son-in-law or grandchild and her boyfriend or husband or something. I don't know. But anyway, he's still out there. He's still out there playing, and still in the band today is 13, Mike Kinsey. Now, he was not an original member, but he came on before this first album was made. He came on about a year after the band started. And the little story I'll tell you, and then I'll move on. A little story about 13. One of the band members, I don't remember the drummer or the bass player, one of these guys here, where they rehearsed and hung out on their farm. They stayed in a trailer and rehearsed there or something. And one of them's father came up with a name for everybody that came around, and they had been rehearsing and stuff, and he was asleep on the couch after hours of rehearsal. And when one of these guys' fathers came in, and they said, well, there's the new fiddle player. He also plays the tuba, by the way, in the band. They have tuba songs. And they said, there's the new fiddle player. What are you going to name him? And he looked at him, and the boy, he was all groggy and he looked at him and he says, he's too damn ugly for a name. We got to give him a number. That's 13. And from that point on, that's 13. Okay. Let's see. Number 6, an LP you'd be surprised that I owned. Now, anybody that knows me, and hopefully some people that don't know me are watching this video and maybe they'll subscribe to my channel if they're interested. From what I've shown so far, you probably build up an idea of what type of music I listen to. You look at these books and stuff back here, you might get an idea. I doubt you would expect me to have this Captain Beefheart album, the Trout Mask replica, wouldn't you? But there it is, Captain Beefheart, and this is a deluxe set that it's got all kinds of paraphernalia in it with it, including a tote bag, a Trout Mask replica tote bag. But it's got the Trout Mask in here, everything. I picked that up from Jim at Record Collector News. He was wanting to part with it one time. We were talking online, and I ended up getting it from him. Okay, let's see. Number 7, Cheap Heat. This is definitely heat right here. Uh, Bobby Gentry, Ode to Billy Joe, 1967. One of the great songs of the 60s and great albums of the 60s. Didn't get credit for it, but she did the production. This was her concept. She ran the show in the studio, although a male was in the studio who technically was the producer and got credit for all that. And this album, I have like 4 or 5 copies of this. I've got the mono and I got the stereo, and this one happens to be a stereo one. But I picked it up in a Flipper's warehouse for less than $2.50. I bought by in bulk from the guy, so it averaged out to about $2.40. It was sealed. I opened it up, cleaned it, put it on the turntable. Now think about it. This thing's been sealed since 1967, and I got this about 3 years ago. And this album played like no other copy I'd ever had of Ode to Billy Joe, mono, stereo, whatever. It was just unbelievable. It had the best soundstage, and I do not have an audiophile stereo setup. I'm down here in the basement. I don't have the perfect conditions to get great sound, audiophile listening room type stuff out of this. It's not bad equipment, but it's just not, you know, I don't have the cost of a car sunk into stereo. But it didn't matter. I could have had any record in my collection, and some of them are, supposedly audiophile recordings that are real expensive. None of them sounded like this album. This album sounded like none of the other copies of this album I've ever had. It was like you were sitting in the room and Bobby Gentry was sitting 4 feet from you in front of you, and she was singing, and each instrument was placed perfectly, and you were just engulfed in the music. Unbelievable. And I don't do drugs and I don't drink much, but no, I don't. So it wasn't an altered state I was in or anything. It was just me, normal me. I didn't over medicate that night or anything. It was just an unbelievable sound. So that was definitely some cheap heat. Okay, let's see. Number 8, alternative format. Okay, I thought about what to show. Some people were showing 45s, and I had a 45 I thought I'd show, but now I've shown it before, so I'm not going to show it. So, in the 70s and 80s, late 70s, after 8-tracks faded out, we were doing it with 8-tracks too, but especially when cassettes became a go-to thing, you would, into the 80s, you would record off the radio and stuff like this. Now, I was going to school in 81, 82, 83. I was going to school at Appalachian State University in 82, 83. And just over the mountain, across the border in Tennessee, was East Tennessee State University. And they had the best campus radio station. And I'm saying that knowing that I worked at the Appalachian State radio station, but man, they had us beat for my taste in music, because they had all kinds of great shows playing all kinds of acoustic and traditional music. and I recorded a lot of stuff off of their station. For instance, there was a club in Johnson City, Tennessee. I've been there one time, called the Down Home Kitchen, and they recorded shows from the Down Home Kitchen and would broadcast them. And I can't remember if they were broadcasting while they were playing or if it was a tape delay broadcast. But anyway, Newgrass Revival played there, and there it is recorded on this tape, and so it's a full set for Newgrass Revival, and then Bill Clifton was playing live on the radio station as well. And then there was a particular show that was really good called Acoustic Review, and a husband and wife team called Phil and Gay Johnson, live at the Down Home Kitchen, February of 1982, there in Johnson City. That they broadcast that, and I recorded it, and then I recorded various artists on the regularly weekly or daily show, I believe it was, Acoustic Review on WETS, was the W East Tennessee State, ETS was the station. So those were always good to have, and I've still got them. And we also used to trade stuff, if you remember. And this was in the 90s. And I was trading a local artist that somebody overseas was interested in. And in turn, I would send them copies of this local artist, and they would send me copies of other artists. They were big fans of Steve Earle, and I am too. So there's London, England, and Copenhagen, Denmark. The London, England was from 8/9/91, and the Copenhagen, Denmark was from 1/25/97. So late 90s, they sent these to me, and just handmade labels, a little nicer than mine that I just scribbled on. Those are some examples of things that are alternate format that we have. Number 9, favorite documentary. This is one I used. I taught North Carolina and U.S. history to 8th graders for 30 plus years. And I used this video oftentimes to show, as we were learning about the first half of the century of the 1900s, and showing the musical culture of North Carolina. There was a documentary made that aired on public radio or public television here in North Carolina, and where aired other places too, I believe, but it was originated here. It was called Step It Up and Go, and it was a story of the Piedmont Blues. And that show included a visit with Etta Baker up in Morganton. This is an album from Etta called Railroad Bill. Great guitarist. Her and her sister Clara, I believe it was. That's not quite right. It's something like Clara. But her sister was a guitar. Her whole family were guitar players or musicians, banjo players, and this was part of it. But it traced the Piedmont blues and the related blues music of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and beyond here in North Carolina. You can see that on YouTube today. You can pull that up on YouTube. Type in "Step It Up and Go," and it should come up. Box set is number 10. And this is one I just recently got, and I highly recommend. This is Nat King Cole, and it's called "Hitting the Ramp: The Early Years, 1936 to 1943," and it is 10 LPs of Nat King Cole and his music, and I think it was a limited edition first pressing of 3,000, and this is 1,043, and it's on Resonance Records. Originally, this thing was selling for $150 or something. Folks, if you go to find Resonance Records website and you go search it, I think you can get this for about $69 plus shipping. I think that's what I paid. I paid either $69 or $79 for this plus shipping. Great music. Nat King. Number 11 is the most trashed record you own, and it's probably one of the most valuable records I own as well. From 1966, Beach Boys' Pet Sounds in mono, and I got this from a guy in Benson, a fellow that owns a antique shop, and he had bought at an estate sale. He bought their records. He didn't want to sell them one at a time. He just had stuck them over to the side, and I ended up buying them all from him. And it's one of my favorite collections because you can kind of read the story of these people's lives in the mid 60s up to the very early 70s. As you can see, the collection had two names, a man's name and a woman's name, and then both names. So boyfriend and girlfriend, and then they got married, and then their collection merged. And this was actually Evelyn Faulkner's record, Pet Sounds, 1966. And I was so happy to get this. There it is. I know everybody likes to look at that stuff. But it wasn't in great shape. And I cleaned it, and it played with a lot of surface noise, And as I got better at cleaning records, I cleaned it again to try to get it a little bit better. And it still had the same issues. I even went so far as to use the acid clean method, uh, which is comparable to ultrasonic, I believe. I don't think ultrasonic could get it any better, but the acid cleaning, it improved it a little bit. But this is a pretty, it plays VG, lower level VG, and that's it. It's not going to get any better playing than that. It's probably, I forget what it's worth now, but I mean, if it was in much better shape, it'd be worth a lot more. But even at a low end VG, it's worth a little bit of money if I were to sell it. But I'm not going to sell it because that's Evelyn Faulkner's record, and I'm holding it for her. You know, she had that record for years and years. Okay, number 12, a local album. Can't get any more local than this. In a lot of communities all over the United States in the 1970s, there was a, a lot of youth choirs that organized, not necessarily a specific church's choir, but children, teenagers in the community coming together to form a Christian choir that would travel around and play events, churches and revivals and civic functions and things like that. And our little town had one. I'm from Lillington, a small town between Raleigh and Fayetteville. And the band was called the Good News Singers, and they did one album, Oh Happy Day. And these were all a little bit older than me. My brother's 2 years older than me. And so these are guys and girls that were my brother's age and a little bit older. By the time I was 15 or so, when people would start joining this group, they had disbanded. But I can look through there and see a bunch of people who are friends of mine. Some of them that have passed on now. People I've worked with later in life, and people I see in the community today. One of my best friends, two of my best friends' sisters, right there, and people as we got older, I hung around with, and so the Good News Singers, they were definitely a local group. And number 13, LP From Far Away. Okay. This is a recent recording. This is As We Speak. And this album is the work of Bella Fleck, who is from New York City, so not far away. Zakir Hussain, who plays the tabla, 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 and Edgar Meyer, a bassist, U.S. bassist, and it features Rakesh Charashi, Rakesh Charashi, and those two uh, artists are from India. So, a merging of Indian music with some American bassist and banjo player. And number 14, a soundtrack, 1972, often overlooked, one of the best movies of 1972. Very low key, not a big budget movie, but Sounder. And Taj Mahal did the soundtrack, and he uh, has a role in this movie. But Cicely Tyson, of course, plays the mother in Sounder. Sounder was the dog in the family, and just a great movie during a time when the black exploitation movies were all the rage. Here is a movie about the black experience that isn't exploitive at all. It tells the story of struggle in Louisiana of a black family. And saw Cicely Tyson on TCM, one of those between movies little things where they talk a little bit, and she was talking about the role, and they showed a very moving scene uh, where Paul Winfield, the husband in there, she looks in the distance. The dog Sounder starts barking and running forward, and she looks in the distance and can see a figure hobbling down the dirt road, and she can't tell. And then she realizes it's her husband coming back, and she runs. They shot it in one big shot, and she runs as hard as she can to meet him on the road as he's coming home after this long absence. I won't tell the backstory for all this. Watch the movie, great movie, and just a great long scene and one shot scene. And then the director came to her after they did the scene, and they said, "Cicely, I think we're going to have to do it again." She said, "What? I don't know if I can do it again." And she said, "Well," talking about the cinematographer, his name escapes me, but I think he's a pretty well-known cinematographer. I'm scanning here to see if it's listed easily. No, I don't see it easily on here. I'm sure it's here somewhere. She said, "Well, as he was shooting, he started tearing up, and he's not sure he got it. Not sure he got it. His tears filled his eyes, the emotion from that scene. So they shot it again, and then when they went back and developed the film, they got it the first time because that's when it was all the emotion was there, and it was perfect. So Taj Mahal soundtrack for the movie Sounder. People go see that movie, or TCM showing it this week, I believe. I may have already shown it. I'm not sure. Okay, and 5, highly recommended. An artist or album that you really people shouldn't pass up. Uh, it it can be this specific album, or it can be this artist in general. Tony Rice, the late great Tony Rice, acoustic guitarist. This is Native American, and this was just reissued for the first time on vinyl, and it's from 1988. But 4 of his albums have been re-released in the last year, or 2 years or so. His work is just outstanding, whether it's in a bluegrass ensemble, as the bluegrass album bands were, 5 of those bluegrass album bands, whether it's with his brothers, the Rice brothers, whether it's with a partnership with someone. The highest on my want list. Uh, I try not to harp too much on my want list or that elusive grail, but I've gotten most of the things I really wanted. I needed a good, clean copy of Guy Clark's old number 1. I finally got that. Uh, there's a few others like that I've got. But today, I guess the highest one would be the Harry Smith complete anthology of American folk music. That's so expensive, and I know I could get it on CD, but and it's still expensive on CD, but not like it would on vinyl. But I mean, that's $700 to $1,200 uh, box set to get that, and it's not been reissued in a while. Maybe Folkways will reissue it, and it'll be at a reasonable price. See, a channel shout out. I think probably the one of the best channels out there is another. I got to read off here, so make sure it's a long name. So make sure I get it right. It's Headley is his name, but his channel is called Another Fat Bearded Man Talking About Records. Isn't that a great title? Okay, Headley is into folk country, soul, that sort of music, especially the country rock, folk rock, that sort of thing. He will show you a video of and tell you about these albums, and you're going, where did he find it? How did he even know it existed? Wow. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about country rock and folk rock type stuff, but he just always just amazes me. And the things he finds and the things he's dug up and information he knows, he's learned about these different artists. So check his channel out. The silver lining in the vinyl community, and it's my understanding what he's asking. Instead of being negative, people tend to. Human nature is we are often negative. We try not to be, but oftentimes we are. So people are always looking to punch holes in something or find shortcomings. So what's something good and positive about the vinyl community and vinyl record collectors and things like that? And there are people that poke holes and try to find negative things about what I'm going to promote as something really positive. But I'll tell you why I think it's really positive. That's the on YouTube, the friendly auctions. Okay, when a group of people who know each other through the vinyl community, through YouTube, in the vinyl community, a couple of them get together with albums and auction them off among friends. And I've gotten so many great records through that, and had just a fun time. You don't have to buy anything. Just watching them can be very, very entertaining. Seeing the music and the interaction in the peanut gallery and that sort of thing is enjoyable unto itself. And I picked up some really great records. And it's when it's done in a friendly manner. Now, I'm not talking about whatnot auctions. I'm not talking about posting stuff on eBay or anything like that, but just within the vinyl community, not professional auctions, just fellow vinyl community members selling some of their records, auctioning off some of the records. Some of the nicest people in the world. Nobody's trying to cheat anybody. No, everybody's just, they're trying to offer it at a fair price. It's an auction, so sometimes the price may be higher than you can walk into a store and buy it, but sometimes we're not near a store. And sometimes the convenience of knowing somebody's going to stick it in the mail and you'll have it in 3 days far outweighs paying a little bit more. Plus, with gas prices, it'll cost me, $10 to drive to Raleigh and back to get a record from a record store, and they might not even have it. So, it's fun, and it's a nice way to spend an evening and or an afternoon. So I like the auctions, and as long as you don't take it too seriously. Again, steal of a deal. I don't know if I'd call it a steal of a deal, but this something real recently. I could dig you up something I found at a thrift shop for 50 cents senior half off day or something. That was oh wow, it's worth a whole lot more than I paid for it. So this is just a reasonable good deal I got that I'll share with you. I got it about 2 weeks ago, and I got these 3 records shipped. Total cost $49. They were all sealed, And I think, technically got two of them were 13 and one of them was 18 and plus shipping or whatever. But when you break it all down, it ended up meaning that each record cost me about $16, which is a lot less than they would have cost sealed sitting in a brick and mortar or online. Shine a Light, field recordings from the Great American Railroad. And this is Billy Bragg and Joe Henry. First time I've had vinyl from either of these artists. And I don't remember which one of these was the $18 one, and the other two were 13. Alex Chilton, Electricity by Candlelight, New York City, 2/13/97. Okay. And Bella Fleck and Abigail Washington, husband and wife here. See, what's the name of this album? That may be just self-titled. I believe it is just self-titled. Okay. So I got those. Okay. I thought that was a really good deal for about $16 a record. Okay. And number 20 is a promo LP. Again, going back to those auctions. This is one that came from what is called the Coleman Collection. Mazzy got the records from one of his friends who passed away. Got the records from his sister, and has been selling them online. I think he sold them all now that he wanted to sell. So they call it Coleman Collection. And I did not have a copy of Little Feat's first album, but there it is. I was able to get this from the Coleman Collection, and it is a promo. They wanted a white label promo, and there is your white label promo and of Little Feat, a very good plus record. And only 4 members at that point, and one would leave the band, bass player, and others would join after this, or actually I think after the second album. So there's my 20 questions. I bet this ran really, really long. It's hard to answer all these questions. Okay, there's my 20 questions. Everybody, I hope you have a pleasant weekend, and don't get too hot this summer, because it will get you if you're not careful. And I'll remind y'all, be kind to your neighbors, folks, because we're all neighbors.